Hi everyone, this is Tisch Aitken, and I'm here to discuss what's going on astrologically. If you could please like and subscribe to my page, I'd really appreciate it. And I'm here to talk about some things that are happening in a very uncertain time for all of us. And I think there's a lot of mania, and I think that there's a lot of reality of obviously in terms of that, these are very dire times, and yet I also think there's a lot of hysteria, and that's getting augmented too much right now. And I think people need to bring it down. And I think because it's with the aspects with all the cardinal energy available to us, as there are a lot of planets still in the sign of Capricorn. We've got the south node of karma, which currently is at 4 degrees of Capricorn, and that triggers where the partial solar eclipse was on December 26th. And that is definitely bringing up that story. That was a south node eclipse, which they tend to be much more about loss and about letting go, and in the sign of karma and accountability, which is Capricorn, among other things, that is triggering that point. But we also have the nodes of fate are also forming a square to Chiron, which is the wounded healer, and many are feeling very vulnerable and fearful, and that's a big deal. And then Neptune, which is in the sign of Pisces, which is in its rulership. Neptune rules the dream and it rules imagination, but it also rules fear, it rules illusion, it rules fantasy, it rules mania on many levels. So I think that the fact that Neptune, we just had, well, with the full moon on Monday, the sun was just within a degree of Neptune in Pisces. So very lost at sea, and very lost in illusion and confusion. They're starting to separate now, which is good. But Neptune is also forming a semi-square to Uranus, which, is the planet of chaos and inventiveness. And those two together are also kind of bringing, I think, more of this kind of very lost, surreal type of energy that we're all experiencing. And what we want to work with is, the fact that with all the planets in cardinal signs, with all the lineup in Capricorn, which is, the south node, which is Jupiter, the planet of abundance and expansion. Mars, the planet of action and how we move forward, is in Capricorn. And Saturn and Pluto, obviously. So that is a lot around getting things done. We just got out of the Mercury retrograde because it's stationed direct on the supermoon, and that is going to start to help bring us clarity, but it's going to re-enter the sign of Pisces on March 16th. And that is also a challenging placement. It is in its detriment in Pisces. It's exalted in Aquarius, where it's stationed direct on Monday, but now it's going to, re-enter Pisces, and it's very foggy there, and it will remain there until April 11th. And so I think that realizing that, people also, again, will be very, just very emotional and very lacking of objectivity. So I think the main thing is, again, to really, really harness the Saturn energy, because like it or not, it tests us, but it also grounds us. And we do have a lot of Earth in the sky, and that helps. And let's see, next week is going to be a big deal, because we're going to have the spring equinox, and I'm going to do another video discussing that, but that's the beginning of the Aries season. And that's when the sun enters Aries, and that's the beginning of the astrological new year. And it's a time of new beginnings and taking action. And then we look at the equinox chart, and that gives us kind of a shadow of, it casts, a chart for the next 3 months and gives us an idea of what the spring holds in store. And then we're going to have Saturn, which is one of the key players this year and the last few years, enter the sign of Aquarius on March 23rd, and it's going to, no, March 21st, the next day actually, and it's going to remain there until July 2nd, and that's much more about Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius, and it's the modern ruler of Capricorn. And in Aquarius, it's going to be much more about, I think, restructuring, inventiveness, and could be a bit chaotic, but it could be perhaps about getting into new things and hopefully new inventions and new ways of doing things. But that's happening. And then Mars is going to meet up with Pluto on the 23rd of March. And that is going to be a difficult aspect. And that's going to be at 22 degrees of Capricorn as well. So that is at the world axis. That can be a warlike aspect. It can be very combative. So, be conscious of people will probably be more irritable that day, and even for yourself, try to rein that in, and just realize that this is a big month of a lot of action and changes. And the other thing to look forward to in the beginning of April, but that's not far away, is that Jupiter and Pluto are going to meet up at 24 degrees of Aries of Capricorn, and that is only within 2 degrees of the Saturn Pluto conjunction on the 12th of January, and Jupiter and Mars meeting up on the 20th of March. So this is getting triggered and again in a sense, and bringing up more on how we can structure things. So I wish you a lot of luck, and thank you very much. Take care.